Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the Indian Nation Station pregame show right here on the Indian Nation Station's YouTube channel. It's been 3 weeks since we've last seen you, and a lot has happened, not only for this Piqua team, but around the league as well, as we'll dive into some of that stuff as we get going. I'm your host, AJ Ganger. With me, as always, Mr. Brian Gillespie. This is the only show all year long that we have not matched yet. So we are different. Close. Just close. Just a little close. It's already week 8, Brian.
Yeah.
Already week 8.
Wow.
And I think it's what, week 6 of college football as well already?
It's cruising right along. It's amazing.
This is insane.
It'll be basketball season before you know it.
It is. It'll be winter sports, basketball, wrestling, swimming,
Name it.
all of them. Bowling. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Indians' remaining schedule as they are 1-6 coming into tonight's game against Xenia tonight. Next week we go to Sydney to hopefully keep the battered helmet, and then we close it out here at home against Fairborn. With 3 games left, Brian, can we even sneak into the playoffs, you think? Because we got the rankings coming in soon. Or even just get another win.
Well, I'll tell you, step 1, get a win.
Yeah.
Step 2, you could maybe, as I looked at the rankings, definitely if you swept all 3 games in a perfect world, you're in.
Yeah.
But you at least have to win 2 out of 3, and you've got a good solid Xenia team. You're playing at Sydney, Fairborn as well. With those next 2 weeks, you're kind of diving into a spoiler role compared to what we're used to being the lead dog and playing for the league championship. Now you're a spoiler type team with Xenia and Sydney both wanting that Valley Division championship, and they're currently tied. Or Xenia's 1 game behind, Sydney's tied at the top. So both those teams have eyes on another championship, and Piqua can kind of ruin that this next couple weeks.
It is kind of crazy when you look at it. Piqua can kind of ruin that entire Valley Division if they just take all 3 of these teams out in the next couple weeks.
Well, Xenia's schedule actually looks the best of the 3 probably, in theory. Mm-hmm. They still have Greenville, they've got Piqua, they've got Tip. Sydney has to play Butler, Piqua, and Troy.
That's a hammer schedule.
The last 3 weeks. Now again, Piqua doesn't look exactly what we usually do, but that's 3 big names, 3 teams that are rivals for them pretty much. That if they've got to somehow figure out how to win at least 1 of those, if not 2, to try to come back and win that division, or actually hold on and win that division down in the Valley Division.
We're right now to take this moment to thank all of our sponsors for the 23-24 school year. We got Kathy Hinney, Little Caesars, Buffalo Wings and Rings, Dick Lumpkins, This and That Candy on Main, Harmony Systems, Craig's Corporation, Edison State, Dr. Littlejohn, Morris Comfort Systems, Atlanta Sportswear, 36 Skate Club, and the Lemon Meringue Boutique. Thank you all for supporting the Indian Nation Station. Brian, it's kind of been a bizarro world kind of last 3 weeks. We had Troy only beating Piqua 14-0. We had Tip City losing to, who was it?
Fairborn.
Tip City loses to Fairborn. West Carrollton beats Piqua to get their first win since 2019. There is Butler. Butler took out another team. I think they took out Tip. I think that's who was the one that took out Tip.
Yeah. So
I mean, you're looking at a bizarro world right now.
You're looking at a 3-way tie at the top of the Miami division, and with Troy, Butler, and Tip. And really, if you look at their schedules, they all kind of look like it's going to be a win-out scenario here.
Yes.
So a 3-way. I don't know. I guess they just share the title if they all win out.
Everyone gets a trophy,
which is kind of crazy, but that's looking like a very likely thing. And yeah, it's been flipped upside down. I mean,
all the teams that have been bad these last couple of years are now above 500, and all these teams that have been really good are now below 500 or worse.
Well, you look at Fairborn, then they followed that win over Tip by losing 49-13 to Butler.
Yeah.
Butler, I'll be honest, is probably the hottest team in the league.
Yeah, they have turned it around completely.
Consistently over the last 3 weeks, they've probably been the most consistent top team. Butler is currently in kind of a battle in the Region 12 with Tip. Even though they beat Tip, Butler's slightly behind them in the seeding process, 5 and 6 there. And that's going to be interesting to watch as they go down the stretch here, who will end up with a higher seed, because really that's what they're looking at now. Of course, they want to win the division, but I think they'll all, well, as bizarre as this season's been, you never know.
Anything's going to happen.
But the schedules look like they line up for both of those teams to win out. So that'll be interesting to see where they end up with seeding in their region. Because these points sometimes, it's a magic.
It's like the BCS. You don't really know how it worked.
You look at the numbers and it feels like it, but it's like, how do they get these numbers? You know, I get it, the strength of schedule and all that kind of stuff, and wins, and then your teams that you beat have to get wins to get points for you.
That's why you're not a math teacher, Brian.
But it's so complicated. Yeah, I definitely can't do the math on that. It's been a long time since I've taken math class.
Right.
So, needless to say, it's going to be an interesting stretch run for all these teams. Unfortunately, Pickwa's only got left is kind of being the spoiler, but sometimes that can be fun, and maybe they sneak in. If they do sneak in, you're looking at the 15 or 16 at max.
Yeah, you're going to be playing at Anderson or Withrow first round.
That doesn't sound like a lot of fun for any team. And this year's Pickwa team, as much as they've struggled with some teams that aren't very good, that's probably not an ideal scenario.
No. Oh, let's take a look at from the scores from around last week in Week 7 in the MVL. Tip City beats Sydney 47-14, Butler 49, Fairborn 13. Troy blasted Xenia 43-6. Stebbins blanks Greenville 30-0, and West Carrollton with that win over Pickwa 14-13. Jericho Burns 30 carries, 102 yards. Kai Warner 12 carries for 114. He threw the ball 10 times, completed 3 passes, 1 to the other team as an interception, 29 yards passing there. Pickwa only had 39 passing yards on 4 pass plays. 45 runs, though, of 201 yards for a total of 240 yards. Any thoughts on that West Carrollton game?
Oh, that's a crusher. That's a crusher. You don't ever see that one coming. You know, they hadn't won in a long time. But I will say, if you look at West Carrollton's schedule and you look at the results, it was kind of building. Those previous 2 weeks, close games against good teams.
Yes.
Close games against good teams. And then they just finally got over the hump there with, again, the Pickwa game and closed the deal. I could see them winning a game or two down of these last 3 even, because I think now that you see yourself win a game, maybe you even get a couple more down the stretch.
Right.
Obviously for Pickwa it was devastating. Makes it extremely difficult to get into the playoffs. But you know, you just got to keep playing. You don't have a choice. I mean, you're playing a team, Xenia, who's also in a tailspin.
Yeah.
3 straight losses. A blowout loss to Troy last week was probably, their coach is probably very frustrated right now. 2 teams really that want to win this Friday. You know, it's going to be an interesting battle.
Yeah.
Even though it's not, you know, what you're used to here, it's still going to be interesting because both these teams are going to fight and crawl and claw and scratch because they want that win because they both desperately need it.
Well, we're going to move on from that West Carrollton game. We won't spend any more time on that one because it's just a little too depressing to think about right now. And we've got a game tonight.
I would say burn the tape, but they don't do that anymore because there's not video. But you can
take that video, throw it into the garbage can on your computer, and then immediately delete your garbage can.
Or that you know, that old meme, that delete.
Yes.
Really quickly, just oh, did I hit that twice? Oh, it's gone.
Coach,
sorry.
I don't know where that film went. I'm sorry.
We're gonna have to live without the stats for that one. All right.
Let's go ahead and dive into our Region 8 Division 2 rankings right now. The top 16 teams that would be in the playoffs if the season ends today. Keep in mind, there are 0 undefeated teams in Region 8 right now. Number 1, Anderson. Number 2, Withrow. Number 3, Northmont. Number 4, Harrison. 5, Winton Woods. 6, Troy. 7, Loveland. 8, Xenia. 9, Kings. 10, LaSalle. 11, Lima Senior. 12, Sydney. 13, Stebbins. 14, Fairborn. 15, Edgewood. 16, Turpin. And as of today, Pickwa is listed at 20.
Yeah, if you look at... don't look now, but Lima Senior's 5-2. Now they're 11th because they've played nobody.
Yes.
Their last 5 games they've won, but they're against
Pickwa's really hurting them right now.
rough opponents. Yeah, Pickwa hasn't helped them out at all. I would think, as I looked it over, Cincinnati's pretty heavy with talent, as they always are. I mean, there's always good teams up there, but this year they are way better than the Dayton teams outside of Northmont.
Yeah, Northmont, their 4-3 record's very deceiving. They play in a very tough conference.
Brutal Division I conference, basically. They just slipped down to D2 this year. They're the Dayton region's only hope. Troy's up there at 6. Little bit of a paper tiger, I feel like.
Yeah.
I don't know that they'll do a lot in the postseason. I can't see that happening.
They never do. They always get in and lose first round every year.
And
it's like the Reds.
This year they'd be playing, well, if they continue on, they'll probably get another MVL team, so they may be able to win that one.
Hopefully.
Probably. But then you get into the second round, you're going to be in for a tough battle.
Yeah.
So really, I think in Dayton, you're hoping for Northmont if you can get, they can compete with anybody up there. But that Anderson team has been great this year so far. Withrow's really good. Winton Woods is good again. Harrison's come out of nowhere to be good this year.
Yeah.
So now what's interesting is a playoff team from last year, much like Piqua, Little Miami made the second round of the playoffs last year. Didn't they beat Troy?
I think they played Troy for game 1 and beat them.
Yeah.
It was either them
They're
or Harrison.
0-7. So you have Piqua and the upside down.
It all seems upside down because if you're even seeing Edgewood at 15 at 2-5.
Yeah, Edgewood and the Ross Rams, the Ratliff squad. Yep. They're struggling. They flipped upside down. Now they're 1-6. It's a bit of a different year, and and good for some of these teams that haven't been in the mix. Have an opportunity this year.
It's definitely bizarre world this season, not only in high school, but college and pro as well.
Yeah,
you don't know what's going to happen at any given time.
Weird, yeah. And then you look at Region 12, like we talked about with
Butler and Tip.
Butler and Tip, they have as good a chance as anyone to win that region, maybe.
Yeah.
The Baden team's always really good.
Yes, they are.
So, and then you've got Chaminade and CJ and Trotwood, which are both very good too. So Dayton area is a lot better in D3 than they are in D2.
Yeah, for sure. Looking at it.
So it's going to be a battle in that region as well. A little bit more traditional results in that region versus the Region 8 where things are just weird.
Now we're looking at the points. Again, we have no idea how this point system works or anything like that in Division 2. It seems like the path for Piqua to make the playoffs, and this is just me saying this, they're going to have to win, I think, 2 of their last 3.
For sure.
To get even close to 16.
For sure, because they haven't had a good win.
No.
Like their only win was against the team that hasn't won yet, Greenville.
Yeah, and I don't think they're going to win a game.
And Greenville won't win more than likely at all. So you get 0 points from that. I did look at Turpin, who's 16 right now, and Talawanda at 17. Edgewood's going to win 2 more games probably,
yes.
So they're going to be in 15.
It's basically going to be a
14.
fight for that 16.
Yeah, you're either got Turpin, Talawanda, Ross, or Piqua. One of those 4 teams is going to get that last seed. Turpin and Talawanda have at best 1 more chance for a win. Piqua's got probably 2 more chances for wins. Ross has got a couple more. Ross might end up costing Piqua a playoff spot.
I think so too.
Because if they win 2 more, they're already ahead of Piqua in the standings. That's going to make it difficult for us. No matter what we do, outside of winning all 3, hey, there's always a chance. It's going to be tough to get in this year.
And again, this is a year where anything can happen.
Yeah.
As well. Let's move on here to Week 8 MVL games. 6-1 Troy hosting 4-3 Stebbins. Butler, 5-2, travels to Sydney to take on the 4-3 Yellow Jackets. Tip City at 5-2 will host West Carrollton at 1-6. Greenville hosts Fairborn. Fairborn's 2-5, and then Piqua and Xenia. Before we dive into Piqua, Xenia, Brian, I'm thinking that Sydney Butler game might be pretty good this week.
Yeah, I mean, Sydney can play spoiler there too. I mean, Sydney wants to win their division. If they win that game, it's pretty much sealed up. They're going to win that division because the last 2 games, they're going to win at least 1 of 2.
Yeah. They
should win the division if they get that. Butler comes in hot, probably, like as I mentioned, probably the hottest team in the league. So you're talking about an interesting game. It's at Sydney. Sydney might have some momentum there. That should be the game of the week in the MVL.
Yeah. 100% for sure. This is a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, all of our games that are sports contests covered by the Indian Nation Station are on tape delay. They're available for replay on our YouTube channel immediately following the conclusion of the games. Show your pick with pride and hit the subscribe button on our YouTube page. Thanks to everyone who's been watching all season long on all of our sports, as well as all of our games that are live, all of our other community events, things like that. Thank you for watching. We are 9 subs away from 2,600. It has taken us 3 weeks to get almost to 2,600. Let's keep the subscriptions going. As we move into tonight's matchup with Piqua and Xenia. Last season, Piqua got beat on the road by Xenia as they would dethrone the back-to-back champs to take home the MVL crown at the end of the year as well. Not only is Piqua looking for revenge, they're looking for a win at home, just a win, period. It's something that they haven't been able to achieve this season. Brian, what do you know about Xenia coming in? And I know you have a couple other MVL facts that you wanted to spit out there.
Well, I just think that, Xenia comes in with solid quarterback, couple good running backs. They haven't been, it's kind of like looking in the mirror.
Yes.
Piqua and Xenia have a similar inability to throw the ball this year. They have not been consistent throwing the ball. Both teams will probably try to establish the run on a regular basis. Gavin McManus, the quarterback there at Xenia, he's a talented kid, has not put up great numbers. It's not the same team as last year. The skill level is, they lost a lot of good seniors from that team.
Right.
So again, mirror. Piqua lost a lot of good seniors. So you're looking at two teams. Xenia obviously has the leg up because they're 4-3, but lately it's been going the wrong direction for them. So who is able to stem that negative momentum and pop back up Undertaker style and sit up and look around and be like, all right, let's go.
Yeah.
And Piqua has as good a chance as Xenia in this one. I think it's kind of a toss-up. And but the problem is it's just not enough winning plays this year. You've been close. They've been close. But again, close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades.
And it also seems like because the offense is struggling a lot, our defense is struggling because we are on the field for a long time. Watching the Troy game a couple weeks ago, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. Our defense is on the field for a long time. They're getting tired. It was only 7-0 at halftime. It was 7-0 until about 2 minutes left in the game.
Yeah.
Our defense did their job. It's the offense that needs to kick in a gear.
Well, if we look back at that Troy game, even with them scoring, one time was on a fluke play where we had him in the backfield.
Yeah.
He changed directions after he got away from the tackler, and there was no one left on the other side to tackle him, so they got a touchdown. And then you threw an interception, set them up with all the momentum at the end of the game, and the defense can only do so much.
Right.
So West Carrollton, 13 points. That's not going to cut it.
I think they missed an extra point too.
It's not going to cut it. 13 points in any league is not going to get you too many wins. You need more, connection between those receivers and the quarterback. But they also didn't, they only threw it 11 times last week. So you're looking at, do you open it up a little bit and throw it more, or do you just ride that running? We have good running backs. I mean, we have talented kids in that backfield, and they've been pretty successful running the ball. If you look at our numbers, you go, whoa, they run the ball really well. The problem is there's just always something. And with teams that lose games, isn't that the case? If you've had Michigan had a bad year, Tennessee had a bad year, it's always something, and that's why you lose a game.
Yeah.
You can look great on paper,
Yeah.
but there's a turnover or a penalty or
10 guys on the field like Notre Dame did.
yeah, or a Notre Dame move
3 times.
Yeah, I mean, there's the little things, and I think that's the difference this year is the little things haven't happened for Piqua.
And
let's see if they can do that this week.
And the turnover is crazy when you really, really dive into numbers. Look how many passing yards we had the last 3 years. We had a quarterback who was slinging the ball around, receivers catching it. Not the case now. I mean, our rushing numbers are here and our passing numbers are here, when in years past they've almost been a balanced team. Even though they maybe threw the ball 12 times a game and ran 40 more times, it's still balanced as opposed to yardage.
And I think that's just, sometimes you have a year where you have a little bit of a drop off because you don't have the natural passer, you don't have the natural route runners. Somebody's on the wrong page a lot of times.
Yes.
There's some sort of disconnect between, okay, I'm throwing it here, you're cutting out. You're stopping, the ball's over here, interception.
Or the ball's getting thrown behind you and needs to be thrown in front of you.
Yeah.
It's just little miscommunication things.
Those small things add up to a lot of losses, and that's what's happened here, and it's piled up. And then you just, how do you get that momentum back, especially when the best we can do is 3 more wins, or the best we can do is barely eke into the playoffs. This will really be, it's kind of gut check time for this team.
Yeah.
Are they able to you know, take what they got left, put it together, keep together as a group, and pull off a victory? Or is it going to kind of spiral worse? And that's always a possibility as a coach and players.
But I will say this, even though things are bad, or they seem bad, we're still improving every week. Every single game, I was going in that Troy game, and I'm sitting here thinking, man, this might not be a very pretty game to watch. Like, it might be 28-0 at halftime. And for the way that we played in that game, to me, it showed there's still fight left in this Pickwood team. It's just got to execute.
Yeah, execution is what it comes down to. There's fight. I mean, they battled that Troy game. You know, those guys tackled that big boy Ward on their own
they shut
really
him down
well. They were
the
able
most
to
part.
control him for the most part, and that's no easy task. So we have the ability, but the execution, effort, all have to line, and then the good things have to happen, and you have to have a little bit of luck, and I don't think we've had a lot of luck this year. No. I think we ran out of luck after the last 4 years, where the luck was just rolling our way, plus we had all that talent. So hopefully some of that luck will finally circle back and get us here late in the season.
Well, we are hoping for a big win tonight at Alexander Stadium, being homecoming as well. We got the homecoming festivities coming up at halftime tonight. And before the game, we'll be on the air about 15 minutes earlier than normal, as we will capture the 90th anniversary of our alma mater and fight song before we have Brian and Tom bring in the game for the call. Don't forget, the game can be heard on WPTW tonight as well, with Brian and Tom Michaels on the call. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Next week, I will be at Sydney taking sideline footage, just like the Troy game, where I film every play. We'll put it together, get it out there for everyone on Monday as well. For Brian Gillespie, I'm AJ Ganger. We're saying go Pickwa, beat Xenia.